How's it going, everyone? Pastor Nate here at Wakeupworld Church, Wakeupworld Ministry. So tonight, there's a reason why I'm doing this at night. Believe it or not, I'm kind of glad how the events unfolded today, so this could happen. Um, we're starting a series called "If God," and that's titled Part One is "If God Existed." Let me just go over some things here. I don't want to seem like I'm attacking people. I don't want to try to start a debate or argument, but you're more than welcome to write your questions in the bottom. I'm not saying I can answer all of them. I'm not saying I'm going to try to, because I'm okay with not answering or not knowing the answer. That's just the truth. But you're more than welcome to write in the comments if God existed, how come this is happening, or explain this. You're more than welcome to. I intend to read a lot of those and try to see if I've asked the question myself and give you my answer or answers from other people. That's what I intend to do, is to do that. But the whole purpose of this series is to get you to search and think, and then search again, to search deeper than you have. Just hear me out. But I don't want to seem like I'm attacking people. I'm going to keep things simple and to the point. I just asked you to give me a few minutes of your time. What I intend to do in this part is I'm going to go over a Facebook post I wrote in preparation for this. I'm going to talk a little bit of what it says in Genesis. I'm going to go over some facts that I know, not going over people's heads. Some things that I've known for a while now and just recently learned. So with that, in my post today in preparation for this, and by the way, it's September 25th, 2015. We're a couple days into fall. There's a reason why I say that. You'll see here in a second. But reading this post here, I know there are mysteries and things I can't explain, just to elaborate that a little bit. And we won't know until we're standing before God. But what I'm about to read to you here, when I say facts, these are actual scientific facts. Rather, you are I'll say a secular scientist, basically someone that does not believe in the creation of the universe as from a deity or God. Basically, they believe the evolution theory, the Big Bang theory, the dark, whatever it is. Okay, I'm not meaning that I'm not attacking or mocking. I'm just saying. And then there are those that do believe um, in a creator or God. Okay. Fact is, if the planets, the solar system, if you will, was any different than it was, if the sun and the moon were any closer, further away, Earth and life on it wouldn't exist. That's a scientific fact. If a theory were true and an explosion of light happened, how is it, I'm asking a question, how is it that the Earth rotates and is tilted at a degree, life from not just us, but to animals, trees, and ecosystems could exist? I'll explain that. I'll elaborate that here in a little bit. If God didn't exist, and this is just my going on that, my thinking. If God didn't exist, and this is actually more searching than thinking, because again, I ask these questions. I've asked these questions to myself. If God didn't exist, there would be no existence. To me, only nothingness can lead to nothingness. But saying nothing leads to creation makes zero sense. This was designed, created, and has a purpose. What I mean by if God didn't exist, there would be no existence. What I mean by that is all the facts I just shared with you. If you're telling me, and again, I'm not mocking, I'm not attacking, but if you're telling me that somehow this thing happened, we have this explosion of light or whatever it is, and all this matter is created, and all the matter we needed from the whatever, there was a beginning point. There was a beginning to creation. But if you're saying that happened by accident, if you're saying that as small as Earth is compared to the whole universe, if you're saying that our solar system was so in place to where Earth can exist and the life on Earth could exist, not just from us, from our ecosystems, to animals, to plants, to vegetation, to whatever it is, could exist. If you're saying that the sun and the moon were at a position to where it would perfectly help life on Earth, from the seasons to needing it to have seasons for growth, for harvest. if you're saying that the earth turning at the speed that it does, or is tilted at a degree that it could again have existence, if you're saying all that happened from an accident or whatever it is, you have more faith than me. Because again, go over all those things I just did. Was tilted at a different angle, it wouldn't be, the life would not be the same. Just seriously, think about that. If anything were different, life on this earth would not exist or would be completely different. And again, if at all. And if you believe that, and I'm not attacking or mocking, you have more faith than I do. Because that in itself is a term that scientists hate. That is a miracle. That is something that you cannot explain. But it obviously is. You're alive today if you're watching this. You're breathing, are you not? We're here. But it goes to the question that I asked in my promotion video. What is your purpose? And it goes along with the series and what I'm going to talk about tonight. I said I'm not going to take too much of your time. But it goes to my, if you will, what do they call them? I don't know. Anyways, it goes to my searching. If God didn't exist, there would be no existence. Now, if you go into Genesis, and there's a reason why I'm doing this at night, and you'll see here in a second. And before I go into Genesis, here's another fact for you that I learned. Not too far from me, actually, in the Creation Museum, this is there. Genesis is actually a part of the Torah in the Old Testament. And one of the most original autographs of that, when an autograph is the original documentation of, or one of the original documentations of, was in Saddam's possession, and he wanted to destroy it. Well, obviously there's a plan and a purpose for that not to happen, because it's in the Creation Museum not too far from me. But it's Genesis, and it talks about in the beginning, God's creation. So if you will, go to Genesis chapter 1, and I read from the ESV, and it says this. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void. And the darkness, the universe, was hovering over the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God hovering over the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. What it means there is because there is no sun created at this point. He is that light. And there was light. And God saw that the light was good. And God separated the light from the darkness. And God called the light day and the darkness night. And there was evening and there was morning the first day. And God said, let the expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from the waters. And God made the expanse and separated the waters that were under the expanse. And you'll understand what this is. I know there's a lot of expanse on waters and so on and so forth, but the expanse of the waters that were under the expanse from the waters and were above the expanse of the waters. And it was so. And God called the expanse heaven, and there was evening and there was morning. So, and on the second day. So these are the differences that we're seeing right here. And then it goes on to say on the third day, God called all the waters to gather into one place so that dry land could appear. And he called it the sea, and it goes on. All these things are happening. All these things he's commanding to be. And you know what's cool is if you actually go down to verse 14, it talks about, and God said, let there be lights in the expanse of the heavens. This is talking about the stars. Separate the day from the night, and let there be signs for seasons and for days and years. Time. And it goes on to say the rest of these things. So on the next following days, if you actually read before this, he creates basically an ecosystem. He creates the plant life and has them have seeds so they can bear more fruits and multiply, each to their own kind. And then it goes on that he, in the waters, he creates life, and he tells them to multiply, each to their own kind. And then it goes to the birds of the sky, same thing, to multiply each of their own kind. And then it goes to the beasts of the fields to multiply each of their own kind. It was designed and created for a purpose, and that purpose is what he creates us. Adam actually means, the name Adam means red man or red dirt or red mud. God created us out of the earth, but we were just this creation, formed, designed, created, but the purpose came when he breathed life into us and we came to be, because there was a purpose even for us. All the things created before that was a purpose for that creation right there, that he loves so much still to this day, even though we've turned from him countless times. I'm actually a student in the Old Testament right now. I'm almost done with Genesis, and I can just tell you, even from the first book, I am understanding God's heart more, and the why. What is our purpose? Let me just ask you the question here in my closing minutes. Let me ask the two questions here. Number one is, if God exists, what is your purpose? To flip it around, if God doesn't exist, what is your purpose? Let me take that a little bit deeper. I was thinking about this today. Maybe some of you are thinking about having children, or you already have children, or you are obviously a child of someone. Think about this. Search this out. Why did your mom and dad want to have you? And I understand, in a joking way, some people are like, well, it was not expected. They just, they had sex, and it may have been a moment that they didn't anticipate or want something to happen, but obviously there's a plan and purpose for it. And some of you know you did plan it out. You were ready for children. But why? Why did you want to bring another life into this earth? Why did you want to have a child? Because you wanted to expand the love that you have for each other into something of the unknown that you both wanted to happen. I mean, it's sex. I'm not going to go into the science part of that, but you know what the beautiful thing about that is? God has placed you steward over that child, but in that womb, he knitted you together. It says in the scriptures that he knitted you together. He knows everything about you. And I love Jeremiah chapter 29, and in context you got to read before it and after it, but I love verse 11. He has a plan and a purpose for you. But again, I ask you this question. If you do have children, what was your purpose of wanting that life to come to be? To me, the only thing that makes sense is you wanted to experience another life to love. And what I say to that is, the very thought of you was not enough for God. And it is true, you do have a choice to follow him or the ways of the world. So let me take this a little bit deeper, because people say, okay, so why, if God is all powerful and all loving, why does he have these commandments? Why does he have these things that we can easily break? Because I've broken the 10 commandments. I don't follow the law. There's like 600 some odd of them, or 300, whatever it is. I've broken probably every single one of them. So have you. But that's why God loved us so much that he came down, sent a part of himself down, and dwelled in the flesh to die for his own creation, to rebuild that relationship. Because since the Garden of Eden, when he created Adam, and he even said, you know what, I promised Adam a helper, so I'm going to go ahead and put him to sleep, take a rib from him, and I'm going to create him a woman, a helper, a wife, a companion. It revolves around the one word, love. The thought of you wasn't enough, because God does love you. He hates the sin. He hates the sin in my life. that he does love you, and he does, out of that love for you, he does have a purpose and a plan for you. But I think the question that answers itself is, if you're not really searching that question, is, I'm talking in circles here. But why is it that you decided to have a child, or deciding to have a child? What is their purpose? Why would you, what is the purpose for that? It's love. God loved us so much that he died on the cross for us, to forgive our own sins against him, to rebuild a relationship that was started in the Garden of Eden, but man, when they were perfect in form, decided to take that one tree, that one choice that God said, no, don't do that. Everything else around them, he created for them to be in paradise. There was no death. But as soon as they did, that's when things started to change. But you know what? Because of that, I think we see the heart of God more. Is because it shows that we are his creation. And though sin continues to kill us, kills this planet, his love still shows perfectly. And again, going back to the rules and regulations, I know we broke all of them. Sorry I talked on a circle there. Let me bring it on back. And this is going to be my closing thought. Yeah, God has commandments that he wants us to live by, because his ways are not our ways. But I want you to ask yourself this. Everything going on in the world right now. Imagine if we started to follow God versus the things of the world. Do you think the world would be the way that it is now? I don't think it would. But God's word does not lie. It talks about in, I think it's 1st, 2nd Corinthians, that the God of this world, lowercase g, is Satan. That he's blinded the light of the gospel for people hearing the same truth that I'm sharing with you. That God does love, and he's shown it time and time again. I'm a student in the Old Testament, as I said, and I see God's love for his creation in the beginning, then as I do now. He wants a relationship with you, and he showed that on the cross. God bless.